Hello everyone. Welcome to the Hindu newspaper analysis under 10 minutes by JTS Institute. Here we try to give you all the articles that is a must read from the day's newspaper. So you don't have to read through the entire newspaper to see what is important and what is not important for your UPSC preparation. Let's dive right in. The first article is India's tiger population tops 3000, shows census. The points to note from this article are: India has a tiger population of 3,167. In 2018, the population stood at 2,967. The increase is primarily in the Shivalik Hills and the Gangetic floodplains, followed by Central India, Northern Hills, Brahmaputra floodplains and the Sundarbans. However, when compared to the 2014 to 18 population, where it went up from 2,226 to 2,967, the 2018 to 2022 increase is low due to the decline in tiger population in the Western Ghats areas. How is this relevant? See, this being the 50th year of Project Tiger is what makes this an active topic. For prelims, the reason for smaller increase in tiger population will be a stronger choice, whereas for mains, you can have questions about translocation of wild animals, especially tiger population being translocated to other nations by India, which is currently in discussion with the government of Cambodia in order for a project to translocate certain tigers into that country. And this is done the same way cheetahs have been brought into India recently. Also, questions about other conservation measures related to other animals is also a strong choice. The next article is India to bridge language gap with neighbors. So, India is actually planning to create a pool of experts in languages spoken in countries such as Myanmar, Sri Lanka, Uzbekistan and Indonesia to better facilitate people-to-people exchange. The ICCR, Indian Council for Cultural Relations, has envisaged a special project called the Language Friendship Bridge, which plans to train 5 to 10 individuals in the official languages of each of these nations. As of now, the ICCR has zeroed in on 10 languages. The languages are Kazakh, Uzbek, Bhutanese, Goti, which is spoken in Tibet, Burmese, Khmer, spoken in Cambodia, Thai, Sinhalese and Bahasa, both of which are spoken in Indonesia as well as in Malaysia. Relevance? For prelims, it is going to be about the first set of languages, and for mains, it is going to be about international relations questions. Definitely, this topic has a good possibility of being asked because this is the first time in recent times we are seeing a focus on language training as a policy. The next article is Awaiting Liftoff into the Second Space Age. I had previously said in one of my videos about the space policy of India, and I have said that there are going to be future articles about this. This article is also one under the same umbrella. This article begins with the space age of the world starting in 1957 with the launch of Sputnik to Yuri Gagarin to Neil Armstrong, the first man to walk on moon, and further down proceeds to talk about India's space journey, which began as a modest entry into the first space age of the 1960s, where a first sounding rocket, a US-supplied Nike Apache, was launched from Tumba in 1963, following which after 6 years in 1969, ISRO, the Indian Space Research Organization, was set up, which currently is one of the most talked about space organizations in the world. With a budget that is considered laughable when compared to other nations, ISRO has indeed achieved high respect among other organizations from across the world. And now, with the new space policy of India, we are opening it up to the private sector. Yes, so when the space is opening up to the private sector, as seen in other nations, we are going to see a sudden increase in terms of investment, in terms of technological advancement, and so on. So for you, as someone who is preparing for UPSC, the space policy of India and the inclusion of private sector into space industry in India is going to be something that is very relevant for you. The next article is Directing AI for Better and Smarter Legislation. This year, in all sense, the talk of the world has been artificial intelligence, especially with the arrival of ChatGPT. It is important for one to understand that there is a difference between when a technological advancement is happening and when it truly becomes a talk of the world. Let me remind you that chess computers were able to beat strong chess players even in the late 1980s. But it wasn't until 1997 when the chess computer Deep Blue beat world chess champion Garry Kasparov that the world truly started to notice how advanced the computers have indeed become. The artificial intelligence systems are the same way. Scientists have both theorized on it and also have been working on artificial intelligence for quite a long time. But it truly became the talk of the town when something like ChatGPT was actually becoming accessible to the general public. So here is an article that talks about how artificial intelligence can be used in legislation. This will be relevant for the exam as artificial intelligence has come into the public foray, and definitely UPSC can ask you about possibilities of how this can help in the advancement of the human species. Let me also mention that I do not expect a certain prelims question to be asked under these, because talk about editorial articles, these are going to be much more related to topics that can be asked in the mains exam only, because it is not going to be shortened or condensed up for a prelims format. The next article is existing vaccines versus new COVID variants. As the COVID-19 cases have recently again began to rise in India, there are people who are wondering whether the existing vaccines that we have all taken will actually be viable, or will it actually work against the newer variants of the same virus. And in this article, there is also a mention about how actually vaccines work. Vaccines generate a two-pronged immune response. The first is the production of antibodies by B cells, a type of white blood cells, and these antibodies directly attack and destroy the viruses. The second is a T cell response. T cells are another type of white blood cells, and they have many roles, one of which is to actually patrol the body and destroy virus infected cells. And both these arms will actually give rise to specialized memory cells which are stored away for future needs. That is why we don't see vaccines coming up for every particular variant of a virus, because a healthy person who has received a full dose of vaccine will actually have long-term memory generated in both T cells and B cell compartments. So basically, the body will be able to take care of quite a lot of variants of that particular virus just because the vaccine has been taken for one. And the last article that is a must read for today is Center plans revamp of livestock insurance scheme to raise coverage. This article is an early sign of what will be definitely a very active topic for UPSC. See, currently you know about Prime Minister's Fasal Bima Yojana, which is actually the crop insurance from the government. However, there is a livestock insurance scheme as well. This is not an upgraded version like Fasal Bima Yojana. Instead, it is an already existing scheme. But it should be understood that less than 1% of India's cattle population is insured, and most of the times these livestock are not insured because the yearly premium is considered to be unaffordable for most of the farmers. So what is the government trying to do? The government has two approaches. One is to ensure that they can reduce the rate of premiums plus provide subsidy to certain marginalized farmers from the SC/ST communities. And that's it for today. Thank you so much. If you have liked this video, please do like, comment, and also subscribe to our channel, and please share this. Thank you.